It is now my esteemed honor to welcome to the stage our governor of the state of Hawaii, Josh Green. Governor and I have been working very closely together on a number of fronts. It really takes a team, and I want to recognize him because one of the first things he did when he became governor was he settled this long-standing dispute. And because of his leadership, Native Hawaiians now have a seat at the tourism decision-making table. How about a hand for Governor for that? When it came down to Maui and the recovery efforts, it really required everybody's hands moving together, working together to support that community. And Governor made sure that CNHA was in the pocket, working closely with the county. So I want to thank him for that as well. How about a hand? And one of the most amazing things is he's married to a Native Hawaiian who we're going to hear from today, because that is so much mana for our community. We've got to see so many leaders, and we got one more coming up soon. But without further ado, guys, please join me in welcoming the governor of the state of Hawaii, Josh Green.
Aloha. Mahalo, Kuhio. Thank you for those very generous words. I have to just say this is both a surreal moment for me and a great honor. Thank you for welcoming me so warmly. Thank you for being there for our family, and thank you for allowing me to share shared experience, and just openly some of the things that we've been able to do together and some of the challenges. So I hope you know me to be direct, and I want to just be open about so many things that are great challenges for us in our beautiful state. I do start with mahalo to CNHA. You've done an amazing job. Kuhio mentioned something right out of the gate that was important. When I was given the honor to serve in this capacity as governor just really less than 2 years ago, we were in that deep impasse where terrible decisions were being made, and it was really to the exclusion of CNHA as to how we go forward, how we wrestle with so many people coming to Hawaii, and the difficulty we have perhaps with too many individuals coming, too much tourism in some ways, losing some of our identity. And we had said in previous years that we were going to balance tourism by managing expectations and teaching people to respect the Aina and to care for what we are as a state, and to care and trust and respect the Hawaiian culture, but it wasn't manifesting as real action. And it looked for a moment like CNHA would not be included in that discussion and in those contracts. And we fixed that right away because I thought it was important to actually take action in a positive way. And that's what he was referring to, and I'm grateful that we were able to get that done. I think actions will ultimately speak louder than words, and I'm going to share some places where I hope I've taken actions that have been good, and I'm certain there have been actions where I've been less good. Let me just again be utterly thankful. Thank you to Kumuhina, who's been kind to us, to Tyler. Tyler did a great job and is going to be one of the leaders definitely in government going forward. Makana and Keikoa, who are on our team and in our family, who have helped really ground me many, many times over when there is a question, not just about our economy, but about what is right, what is pono in Hawaii. That is very important to me. And again, we want to make sure we take real action, not have just words. And so having her by my side, expressing what we really believe does matter, words matter, and I wanted to share that. I wanted to say Auntie Vicky, who has been a mentor to our daughter and to Jamie, again, deeply integrated into our family, into our ohana. It makes a difference to me, and I want you to hear that from me. I also want to mention Kaleo. I want to say mahalo to Kaleo. We hurt Kaleo deeply, and I feel a great sadness that I was a part of that. And he has bounced into a space which I think is more extraordinary. But I feel terrible, and I humbly apologize for those moments, because we are not going to be perfect. I acknowledge I will never be perfect, but he was very... But I appreciate the embrace that we shared just moments ago, and I appreciate that we move forward and we acknowledge that we can be better and I can be better. And so these were some things I wanted to say before I just dove into our words. I have such deep respect for people who welcome me into Hawaii. 25 years ago, I was a young doctor coming out of my residency back in the East Coast, and I thought I was going to work in Philadelphia or New York, someplace that normally they send Jewish doctors, okay? That was what I figured was gonna happen. And I received a call when there weren't places from a guy named Rick Custodio, a Filipino guy that was running the Bay Clinic in Hilo. And he said, look, if you're looking for a job, we might have a job. You'll fit right in the big city of Hilo. And I arrived in Hilo, and we hit it off. We really actually developed a quick and tight bond. And he said, you can have this job if you'd like. We are going to welcome you into community. And the day I arrived, the doctor in Ka'u quit, and he said, turns out we're going to send you to Ka'u. You really are just going to fit right in, no problem. So I became the doctor for 4 years in Ka'u, on call every night, and it really was the most extraordinary experience ever. I lived in Punalu'u, Big Island Punalu'u, and people welcomed me into their lives. At first, it was about 6 months of who's that Holly doctor in the Bay Clinic, and only 5, 6, 8 people would come see me, not knowing, is this another doctor that's just going to come and leave? And I assured them that I would be governor someday, and they should come and see me in the... No, I assured them that I would be there to take care of people and patients, and I, after a few months and many, many times in community with people, I did become part of the family, and I ended up then seeing more patients than you could ever imagine every day because we bonded, and I was grateful for that experience, and stayed a doctor for all these years right up until this job began, because obviously it's appropriate to just have one job when you're serving as governor. But Jamie and I were reflecting on, as we came back into home here to Big Island, and Jamie's family are deeply rooted, as you probably know, in Hilo. More than 1,000 times I drove up the Kona coast to cover the hospital in Kohala, and again, family and life was there for us for so many years. And so these memories are deep for me, and I'm grateful for them. And so I'm grateful for today. So I thought I would comment just a few words on how much I appreciated CNHA, but I'm also appreciating the movement to youth, and how Kuhio, who has really embraced me and I him, that we have a commitment to having future leaders. And when he has encouraged 13 and 15 and 20-year-olds to be our leaders, because Jack is not getting any younger, nor am I, nor is Kuhio, nor any of us, frankly, we appreciate that. And we think the world of that, Jamie and I, because we have a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old who are absolutely, the center of our lives. And, part of them is Hawaiian. And they, of course, born and raised here, we want them to be back here. We want them to have every opportunity. So as you develop leadership in that age group, we feel like it's for our family too. So thank you for that. The future is a huge part of our job, and it's these moments, it's these structures of leadership that will carry us forward. I wanted to share some of the things that I think we haven't done well enough on, but we are working on, like I mentioned earlier. Department of Hawaiian Homelands. The truth of the matter is, it hasn't gotten to where it needs to be for people for so long, and thousands of people have remained on the wait list, and it just doesn't work. Generations have passed where people have passed away on the wait list. Generations have passed where people gave up hope. And with housing as the center of our great challenges here in our beautiful home, that has to change. And so we were grateful to see Kali take the reins, and he has access to $600 million now additionally for 2 years, and he can work with KS, he can work with community, he can work with any of the homestead associations to make that happen. Because if we don't make that happen, if we let another generation pass, it's just another lost opportunity. Now, I don't have the answer on sovereignty. I don't have the answer on what every individual family's future should be, but I do, more as a doctor perhaps than as a governor, have a deep sense that everyone deserves to have a home and deserves to not feel as though they have been pushed from their homeland, their homestead, or just their literal house. And that worries me more than anything. So that will be a priority going forward, and I hope that you will see from me perhaps the most unlikely of allies that could have ever been imagined on issues like Hawaiian homelands, on issues perhaps like sovereignty, on issues about respect, on issues like Mauna Kea, could very well be the most unlikely but compassionate partner, because as a person who just cared for people one-on-one, I'm cognizant of what happens if you don't treat people with deep respect. And that was what brought me and rooted me in Big Island and Ka'u, and that's what I do translate my life to in this job. So we've increased our capacity at DHHL. We've made sure that things like the Department of Education actually honors, native language and culture. So everything that you see will be, as far as the issues brought to me, will be an attempt to honor and respect the Hawaiian culture. Now, it is hard to see sometimes because the state government is clunky, it is imperfect, but the revitalization at places like Hilo in language, that is truly what's going to matter. And I want you to know that we will continuously do everything that I can to never dismiss what came long before me. I just feel honored to be able to serve, to be frank with you. I feel grateful to have an extraordinary woman in Jamie in my ear telling me what her life experience has been. She comes from Oahu, from Kaneohe. She went to school here, went to law school here, and so she has that grounding. But I'm able to not have any kind of a political grounding from conflicts past. And I hope that that is what you see and reflected, for instance, in the moment when we were together on Mauna Kea. In 2018, I was serving as lieutenant governor in the first year, and that's when there was extraordinary pain. The Kia'i were there with Noi Noi and all of the families, and I went there. I went to the Mauna, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but that created a great rift between me and then the governor at the time. And I share that with you because in the perspective of a government official, they thought that was inappropriate for anyone to just go and hold hands with an individual or individuals because there was such pain. But it was absolutely the right thing to do, to go and just feel, like it was mentioned before, to go and be at the land, to go and see what people were feeling. And then when I became governor, I'm not sure how many people have heard this story because we didn't make a big deal out of it, but there was question about whether the kupuna would have charges pressed against them after they had been arrested. And I basically said WTF in the moment. Because of course that's not what we are or what we should be or what we could ever consider being going forward. These issues are extraordinarily complex. I understand it, and I understand that there is not a simple answer for a government official ever, which is why I'm grateful that CNHA is becoming so strong, why I'm grateful that we still see many of the kupuna educating new and young future kupuna. That's what I took away from the last panel. 1 year, 1 month, and 11 days ago, the terrible fire on Maui occurred. And it occurred in for many reasons, but one of the reasons was we hadn't learned lessons from the past. And it was absolutely correct what Kaipo said about water and what the impact of 50, 60, 70 years of not tending to the land would do. And the world has changed. Now it's much more dangerous. The storm that raged and passed, leaving 75 to 80 mile per hour winds, came over a dry land. And when the fire occurred, that's one of many reasons it raged right through. So now, what do? Do we learn? Do we go into conflict? Do we do the same thing that we did before, which is absolutely not what we should do? And so when Jamie and I saw what had happened, losing 104 loved ones, losing the homes for 3,071 families, we felt that something really different had to happen. And so I took a moment to think about what other water scholars had done, what meetings had shown us. We went and sat with, I know it will sound like the most unusual meeting, but about 80 people, which included Kaipo and Keamoku. We sat there with the mayor and we said, what can we actually do to heal, not just to pay lip service to it? And what we decided then, in that moment together, in a hotel not unlike this, we decided that the healing process will be long, but we should start by returning the piko appropriately to the people of Lahaina, and that was to return Moku'ula back to the community. So on the 1-year anniversary, the memorial, the deepest tragic day, 1 year after the fire, we did that. And so to the extent that government has some authority, not always the moral authority, of course, but some decision-making authority, through executive order, we returned Moku'ula to Lahaina, which, if I may, some of the champions have been fighting since 1962 to do. But because of the tragedy and because of the moment, and I just want to say because it was the right thing and the real thing to do, Jamie and I discussed it, and that is what we did to give back to community so that Moku'ula can have its water restored, so that that sacred place can be restored, so that in partnership with Jack and KS, they can restore the whole Ahupua'a right through there and do what has been described by more eloquent speakers than myself. Restore tradition, restore land, and demonstrate for the world that there are better ways to manage land, that there are opportunities mixing modern day challenges with historic victories and historic wisdom in a way that takes Hawaii forward. And again, I say this, I can't possibly imagine we'll get every issue right, but I can say that when we have these profound moments, it will be our honor to try to get things right on behalf of all the people of Hawaii, but in this case specifically for the Hawaiian people of Hawaii. And so that is where it is the greatest honor to serve. Again, I am completely and acutely aware that the Haole Doctor landing in Ka'u is a bit of a freaky circumstance. But it is an opportunity for me to try to be a thoughtful person. And coming out of these moments, like the moment with Lahaina Strong is another moment I wanted to mention. When Lahaina Strong protested correctly about not having access to land and homes, ultimately and pretty quickly we listened, and you can see there's already change that is happening because of what they experienced and what they shared and what they fought for. So if I can just say, again, mahalo for welcoming me, mahalo for welcoming Jamie in the coming moments, and please know from those few examples, if we don't get it right the first time, we will try to get it right the second time, and we will always try to honor the voices of the Hawaiian people, and I hope that those few small stories demonstrate that that is where our heart is. Much love, much thanks to all of CNHA, and thank you for welcoming me today. Aloha.